If you look at the calendar, we're definitely still in July, and Duke basketball is giving us some scrimmage highlights to take a look at it. You know we got to talk about them.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man. The Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils. My name is J.J. Jackson. Thank you so much for making us your first listen and your first watch each and every day. We're proudly a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. Yesterday, we were able to knock out a Mailbag Monday with our friend Kevin Connelly. Today, on this Tuesday, July 29th, Kevin's back with us. We're going to talk about the videos that we saw from Duke basketball, a recent 5-on-5 scrimmage that the team participated in. What did we see? What do we like? How do we feel? We'll answer all of those questions throughout today's program. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Like this video, share it with your friends if you're watching us on YouTube each and every day. And most importantly, we ask that you kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. Shout out to all the everydayers that we have that are a part of the show, that make us a part of your routine each and every day. That means so much to it. So without further ado, let's bring him back onto the show. Kevin Connelly back with us once again. Talked a little bit of basketball, a little bit of football yesterday. Let's dive into this basketball team right now, Kevin, because we're at the time of the year, man, where we're craving content of any kind.
Yeah, you know, JJ, I think one of the best parts of the offseason in the summer is when you get some of these exhibition game videos or these scrimmages, and we're able to dive deep into it and dissect it. So we got one of those a couple of weeks ago, so happy to get into it. I know you covered it here, Locked On Blue Devils. I had a couple pieces over at Ball Durham about it, so happy to discuss it.
All right, so we've done this the past few seasons. We're Duke in the offseason. When people are looking for content so much, they give it to us. I love it. And we're able to see these guys get to work. This truly was a highlight video when you look at the scrimmage for Duke. It was 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes, 31 seconds. I seriously can't think of a single missed shot in the whole thing. Maybe one. Maybe I'm picturing one that was immediately followed by a putback. In years past, we have seen some, Kevin, or we do see some missed shots, some cut-ups, and that's how the Jaden Shoot saga that I had on the show started, because even in an era where we never saw, or we did see missed shots, we never saw them coming from Jaden Shoot, so that's where we got here. But truly what we had to look at here, Kevin, was a video where I really don't think there were any misses or anything like that.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. This wasn't what you typically see of a scrimmage video. It felt like a highlight video of a scrimmage. And there were a lot of impressive plays from a handful of guys. And it certainly made them look very good.
It did. So as we take a look at this Duke team, the big question right now, obviously in the offseason, is who's out there, who's healthy, who's able to play. And one of the more noteworthy things, Kev, is that Malik Brown was not spotted in this footage.
Yeah, so Malik Brown still dealing and recovering from that double shoulder dislocation that obviously he suffered against Virginia on the road in the regular season, and then re-dislocated against Georgia Tech in the ACC tournament quarterfinal. Had to undergo offseason surgery on it. As of a couple of weeks ago, it was like 6 to 8 weeks before he would be able to fully go through contact. He is doing drills against air, so that's certainly a good sign, but there's no need to rush him into contact and to some of these drills, especially with a double dislocation. You want to be a little bit more careful with that. So I wouldn't expect Malik Brown to be in a lot of these contact videos, probably until the end of August, early September, when you start to get into fall practice.
Therefore, we see on the interior Pat Gongba, we see Cam Boozer, we see Ifeanyi the transfer that Duke added from Rice, who's going to be more of a practice player for them. We've even got an unidentified practice player that's spotted in this video on the blue team. Tall white guy that, again, he's not listed on the roster. I've done all the digging, and if the internet sleuths want to help me out, they can. But if you even go to the comment section of the YouTube video Duke put up there, nobody can figure out who this guy is. But very clearly it's summertime here, where we're trying to figure out the ins and outs of what this Duke basketball team's going to be. What did you have any kind of big picture takeaways from the time that you watched, Kev?
Big picture, probably not. It was kind of more small and detailed, focused on certain players that I know we're going to get into. I know you have the scoring totals from this video. I tried to not make a major assumption with the team. The one that I did, and I wrote this up on Ball Durham, from me, based on watching this video, I think the starting five could already be set, and it's kind of what we had been anticipating throughout the summer. Caleb Foster, Dame Sarr, Isaiah Evans, Cam Boozer, and Pat Gongba. Because you had Foster, Sarr, Evans, and Boozer on the same team in this video. And then you had, I can't remember who it was, if it was Ife Iwuchukwu or was somebody else as their starting center. Just probably to make it even with no Malik Brown, Pat Gongba was on the other team. So that's kind of the big picture takeaway I had, that the starting five, if there was a game on August 1st, Caleb Foster, Dame Sarr, Isaiah Evans, Cam Boozer, and Pat Gongba would be your starting five.
It was our unidentified player that was on that blue team for Duke, because there was a kick out where he knocked out a three-pointer from the wing. So shout out to him. I can't wait to learn what his name is. I don't know if he's going to be a manager. Maybe he's going to earn walk-on opportunities. But that's something we haven't seen in previous years, is someone that nobody knows who he is. We've always kind of been able to figure out who they are, because if he was in it, Jack Scott, another transfer that Duke got from the Ivy League, he was in the video as well. So I'm with you, though. It does seem like, man, maybe we do kind of know the starting five right away, which there were questions in years past. But stuff like this, maybe it makes it a whole lot easier to figure that out for Duke. We're not typically in a position like this.
And there's still a lot of time, obviously, between now and opening night, even between now and the exhibition games, where things can happen. Players can continue to develop and be impressive. Players can maybe, I don't want to say regress, but take a step back and not develop as rapidly as you would have liked throughout the rest of the summer. And then obviously the one thing that always looms around is injuries. So a lot of things can happen, but I do think if there was a game tomorrow, that those five would be your starters.
We'll be sure to put a link in the video here today on Locked On Blue Devils for those to watch the highlights that we're talking about here for Duke basketball. It's on their main page so that you're able to go and see. But when we come back from break, we are going to dive into those scoring totals that we saw from this Duke basketball team. Anything to make of it? We'll give you the answer after this timeout here on Locked On Blue Devils. Yes, Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. Glad to have them back on our network. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol. I know we love those transfusions out on the course. This one, of course, no alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need the extra boost to stay sharp and energized. I love it. Absolutely love it. And want you to make sure that you check out the new 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. Of course, the grape, ginger, lime flavor brings you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the Bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use our promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. That's right. It is 5 Hour Energy, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Show rolls on, moves forward here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. I'm JJ Jackson alongside Kevin Connelly from Ball Durham. We're talking about Duke basketball and the scrimmage footage that was put out there on X. You could follow me there at _JJ_Jackson_. Kevin's there at Kevin Connelly 24. Make sure you follow us at LO_Blue Devils as well. I put out the point totals. Yeah, I'm that guy. Pen and paper, brought it out, watched the video a couple of different times, tallied it up each time to make sure I ended up on the same totals, and I did. So let's give you a rundown. We've got the numbers here on the screen for those watching us on YouTube. The leading scorer in this video for Duke, my guy, Darren Harris, 11 points on the day for the Blue Devils. Cam Boozer had 10. Caleb Foster, Dame Sarr, 7. Isaiah Evans and Sebastian Wilkins had 5 apiece. Pat Gongba had 4. Caden Boozer hit a 3-pointer. Nick Hamidia hit a 3-pointer. And the unidentified practice guy, sorry, guy, I'd love to know what your name is. He finished with 3 as well. Gave him some love there. What do you think of these totals, Kev?
Well, I certainly think the big thing that stands out is Darren Harris, and it was one of the takeaways that I had over at Ball Durham. And the biggest thing that was showcased with him was his shooting, and it showed that he's elite. But as you mentioned, JJ, this was more of a highlight video, an extended highlight video, rather than raw scrimmage footage. So I think you take it with a grain of salt. I think you certainly take a positive away that he did not go in the transfer portal, that he wanted to stay at Duke for another season and try to make it work in Durham. And I think this one video is certainly showing that he's off to a good start, that he has that ability to be an elite shooter from the outside. And that's something that this team will need this season. If Darren Harris can provide them with a 3-and-D type role, that would be huge for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he was able to shoot it so well after his second 3-point shot, it looked like it ended that set that Duke was doing. Like they got to the point total. You saw a little bit of a dance from Darren Harris after the fact, which was awesome. I love seeing that energy and fun that he's having with his teammates. Ended it with a little floater as well. So really cool to see that a part of his game. For Cam Boozer, we saw 2 3-point makes. And then saw a couple of shots around the rim. He tested a couple of mid-range shots. We know that he's got a good dunking ability. But I think people, for whatever reason, Kev, might be surprised that 3-point shot is actually going to be a part of Cameron Boozer's game.
I put myself included in that too. I forget sometimes that how good of a 3-point shooter he really is, because
I don't know why that is, but yeah.
Well, I think it's because of all the videos you see, whether it's from AAU, high school, even some of the footage we've seen with him at Duke, it's his inside game. It's everything he can do from the free throw line to the baseline. You don't see a lot of his mid-range and his 3-point shooting because, yes, a 3-point shot is a good highlight, but going through 2 or 3 defenders for a layup or a dunk, that's a better social media clip. So I think that's why you see more of him from the free throw line and down. But I think that's a really good point that you make, that I think his 3-point shooting is going to take some people by surprise, and he is a very efficient 3-point shooter. And let's be honest, what we saw with Cooper Flagg, and I don't want to compare Cooper Flagg to Cam Boozer because they are 2 very different players, but Cooper Flagg really struggled shooting from 3-point range the first month plus of the season. And then once we got into ACC play, it was kind of crazy how well he shot the basketball if you split his numbers in non-conference play and then in conference play. So even if Cam Boozer struggles early, just remember, same thing happened with Cooper Flagg, and then he really turned it on once we hit January.
I know that we really loved looking at the numbers after Cooper Flagg turned 18, right? His December 21st birthday. Once he turned from 17 to 18, man, he really found that outside shot. So Cam Boozer finished with 10 for Duke in this one. Caleb Foster and Dame Sarr, both with 7, both with a 3-point shot and then a couple of buckets. For Foster, they were floaters, a couple of good shot fakes, and then getting to the rim. And for Dame Sarr, his 2 were runouts, really nice hit-ahead passes for Duke, and they ended with one-handed, right-handed tomahawk jams for Sarr. Looking at our 2 7-point scorers there, Kev.
Yeah, I think for Caleb Foster, we hit on it yesterday, how important he's going to be, how he needs to take that next step, and I didn't see anything wrong with him in this video. For Dame Sarr, encouraging signs. I think he's going to have to be the 2nd or 3rd leading scorer on this team behind Cam Boozer. And I think he's a little bit more interesting because he's an international player coming to the States and has to get acclimated to college basketball. Interested to see how fast he can start his freshman season.
All right, and then we've got 5 points each for Isaiah Evans and for Sebastian Wilkins. Slim hit a 3-point shot in the corner. had a 2-point bucket as well. Wilkins hit a 3-point shot from the left wing pretty early on in the clip. And then he had kind of a breakaway on a hit-ahead pass from the Blue Devils. And really, we saw the hang time, the air time, all of the above. Like, wow, Wilkins truly, truly, truly is an athlete. And my favorite part, I want people to go back and watch the highlights and to watch this video. You're able to see the new coaches for Duke. You see Evan Bradge, you see Tyler Thornton, but also over on the side, you really get a good angle on this Wilkins run out and dunk, is Cassius Stanley, who had been in Durham working out. And when you think about athletic dunkers and guys who live their entire life above the rim, Cassius Stanley is one of those guys. I loved kind of seeing him there in the corner, watching the guys get some run in, Kevin, when you see Wilkins break away for a dunk.
Yeah, when Cassius got a fast break and a run out at the rim, it was always appointment TV. But when you talk about Isaiah Evans and Sebastian Wilkins, I actually had both of them in some of my takeaways. I'll start first with Sebastian Wilkins because you were talking about it, and you said the exact word I have in my piece, and that is his athleticism. I that play specifically. I looked at his body. It looked very developed. Obviously, you saw the speed. You saw the explosion. If he can get a consistent enough jump shot, because his body looks ready, like physically ready to play defense at this level. If he can get a consistent jump shot, can he get significant minutes on this team? I would say yes. If that is more of a question, I think you could be looking at more 26, 27 before you really see Sebastian Wilkins make an impact with the Duke program. And the other is Isaiah Evans. And the thing I saw with Isaiah Evans, and don't get me wrong, he still has a slender body frame. I think when you look at guys in the NBA, like Brandon Ingram right now still has a slender body frame, but you could see Isaiah Evans trying to fill out. He put muscle on. He's living in the weight room. And there was one clip specifically where he got to the rim, and you didn't see him get to the rim very much last season. So the best thing for him is still he has a lot of time to continue to develop his body before the season begins because he has a lot on him. But in this video, the biggest positive and the most noticeable thing I saw from Isaiah Evans was his body started to fill out. And that's huge, especially for his success beyond Duke, because NBA teams would want him to put muscle and strength and weight on to that slender frame.
Yeah, that's surely one of the first things that they would be able to see is his size, is his frame. So looking at point totals, Pat Gongba had 4 for Duke in this one. We mentioned he's overcoming a bit of an injury to the lower body over the past few weeks and months. His 2 buckets were like 2 of the first 4 or 5 shots in the cut up. So really quick Pat Gongba highlights and then on to the next one. We'll close here. Caden Boozer, Nick Kaminia, 3 points each. Caden Boozer was out there a good bit, never really saw the ball in his hands, though. Knocked down a 3 from the top of the key. Nick Kaminia, this was played like maybe a day or 2 right after he got back from his work with the Team USA U19 team. So really, really early on in his summer work with Duke. So we barely saw him. And I feel like that has to be a sign of, dude, he just hasn't been here. He had to get used to kind of working with the team.
Yeah, I was not necessarily concerned or worried about Himenia's absence, kind of what you said, because he was traveling, he was playing a lot of basketball, kind of just wanting to get him a little bit off his feet and not as much in a playing setting because he was just in it for a couple of weeks. My final takeaway, though, was with Caden Boozer, and I do think there's going to be growing pains with him just because being the point guard, having to learn a new system, having to learn the college speed and physicality and all that stuff that we've talked about throughout this summer. And I think, and I hope it's not a negative for him, is if he gets compared to his brother throughout the season, because Cam is a big time prospect. Cam is projected to be a top 3 to 5 pick in next year's NBA draft. And like I've said, Caden can be more of a multi-year player in the eyes of a handful of people that I've read and that I've talked to. So I think there are going to be growing pains with Caden Boozer throughout the course of the season, like there are with all freshmen. We even saw it with Cooper Flagg this past year and the late game turnovers early in the season. So nothing that I would certainly push the panic button on, but in this video, we've seen him got the ball picked a couple of times. So yeah, that's the one final takeaway I had in this with Caden Boozer.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll take our final timeout here on the show today. When we come back, we've got a few more kind of Duke basketball news and notes to touch on here on this episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Thank you so much for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and your first watch here today. For your second listen, make sure that you check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. Also, do yourself a favor and check out Locked On College Basketball. Isaac Shade and Andy Patton do a great job of keeping you up to date on everything involved in the world of college basketball. And of course, the Duke Blue Devils are featured very often in those conversations. Be sure to also follow and subscribe to us on X at @LO_Blue Devils. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as we get closer day by day to 4,000 YouTube subscribers. I can't wait to celebrate that milestone with all of you guys. All right, here he is. Kevin Connelly's with us on the show today, wrapping up the program. We've been doing some reactions to the Duke basketball scrimmage highlights that were released. I want to circle back, though, to something we were able to talk about a little bit yesterday in our mailbag. These exhibitions that Duke has now agreed to, one step beyond a scrimmage, Kevin, before you get to regular season contests, are exhibitions where we will see good and bad and ugly and all of the above when you see Duke take on UCF at home in a brotherhood run, and then a game that we were talking about yesterday at Tennessee on a Sunday in October.
Yeah, I think they're great learning experiences for this team. I really like them going on the road to playing an exhibition against Tennessee. Remember last year they had Arizona State come into Cameron. I don't think they went on the road last year for an exhibition. At least it's not coming into my mind if they did, unless they did a secret scrimmage or something like that I'm just not remembering. So I think for this team, it's good to get on the road. Like I said yesterday, I don't think it's going to be the most hostile environment of all time that you're facing as if you're walking into the Dean Dome in February to play North Carolina. But it's a good experience. You get to learn what it's like to go on the road because this team is going to be on the road quite often in road games in the regular season, in neutral site games. So you get an experience of that against a Tennessee team that's expected to be really good. Again, from a team that was in the best conference in the country last year, and then a UCF team who I think it's going to benefit both teams because when you're Duke, you're getting a Big 12 team to come in to Cameron. I think a lot of us are still adjusting to that UCF is in fact a team in the Big 12 conference, and obviously Johnny Dawkins coming back home. I'm sure Mike Krzyzewski will be at the game like he was when Bobby Hurley came home to Durham with Arizona State last season. So I think the exhibition games are going to be good. I'm assuming countdown is before them.
I would think. Yeah, I would think.
I don't think the date has been officially finalized yet, but I would think it'll be countdown and then the two scrimmages before they head over to Charlotte to play Texas in the season opener. So I know we're in late July, JJ, but before you know it, it'll be here and we're counting it down and we can't wait for it.
Dude, it's crazy how it's going to sneak up on us this first game of the season for Duke. I love it, though. I'm excited.
I think it's cool that exhibitions are now becoming the norm in college basketball. And when I say the norm, like public exhibitions that people can go to, that people can watch, instead of these secret scrimmages that we've had for so many years where it's like, hey, we're playing this game, but we can't publicly say we're playing this game, but we're going to send a box score to one of our beat reporters who's going to put it out there, or we're going to send the final score or something like that. So I think it's cool that because when you look at all other sports, not necessarily college football, but I mean, the NFL, the NBA, NHL, like preseason is readily available and it builds the hype up for the season. And I love that now major power conference teams are playing power conference teams in these scrimmages. They're not playing the D2s and the D3s of the world where it's like, I don't really care about this. I'm not going to learn anything from this. I love the fact that now, and a lot of them are going to raise money for good causes. So I'm really glad that this has become the mainstream now in college basketball.
Kevin, how can we support your work? How can we get involved with Ball Durham?
You could come read us every single day at balldurham.com. Duke football, Duke basketball, Duke in the NBA. We got it all. Recruiting, but balldurham.com. Come read us every day. Come read us multiple times a day. But that's how the best way you can support us is come read us at balldurham.com.
Always a blast seeing you multiple times this week, Kevin. And we'll talk to you again next week, okay?
Love coming on Locked On Blue Devils, JJ. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Kevin Connelly joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. I love having that guy on our show. I feel like we're smarter every single time we get to interact with him and have these conversations. Be sure to subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever it is that you get your podcast. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Also, watch us each and every day on YouTube. Like this video, share it with your friends. Let's spread the word about Locked On Blue Devils. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.